All right, let's answer some questions and comments. Interesting approach. There's a consistent error that many non-native speakers make, which is saying pronunciation rather than pronunciation. The former isn't a word in English. Well, not yet. Yeah, I used to. Did I say it like that in the video? I used to say pronunciation. Now I say pronunciation. It's a schwa there. These are the kind of things that you improve when you're doing a lot of listening and repeating. You improve your pronunciation, not your pronunciation. Um, yeah, I did a lot of that when preparing for the C2 exam. A lot of listening and repeating for pronunciation, and I improved my pronunciation a lot with that. So you do fix a lot of these mistakes if you do a lot of listen and repeat drills. It's really good. You should do it. Next one. Я хочу учить языки. Тогда вы в правильном месте. Why is this a poll? Because I'm such a boomer. I don't really know how to do. I don't really know how to use the polls and stuff well. Shouldn't be a poll. Like there's no right or wrong answer to your language learning goals for 2024. It's simply it forced me to choose one. I think I just chose one as the right answer for whatever reason. Uh, you'd be better chatting with ChatGPT on a regular basis and asking it to provide vocabulary on a bite-sized subject. People love ChatGPT. People love fall in love with tools, but and people love using it for everything. But it's not really that good for this kind of thing. You're much better off listening and repeating sentences with other materials and doing translation work, things like that. Having a conversation with ChatGPT is really it's very awkward. I've tried. A lot of people keep insisting it's great. You should do it, and yeah, maybe someone can show me how to do it really well, but not really. Uh, you don't really learn a language on Duolingo, but it is useful for repetition. No, it's not. It's not useful for anything because it's super slow and you learn nonsensical phrases. Um, Repetition is good if you're learning complete sentences that are useful uh, for conversation. If you're repeating sentences that the dog is behind the cat and things like, yeah. The elephant eats the banana. Okay, you're gonna repeat that over and over. For what? You might only make to B1 level in 1 or 2 years of no, you're not. Not even that. No. Duolingo is a complete waste of time. Don't use it. Don't use it. Why are you still using it? You know it's a waste of time. You're just deluding. Like you're just lying to yourself. Don't use it. It's like playing video games and then lying to yourself about it somehow being useful for you. No, it's not. You're wasting your time. Okay. Yeah, I can see that my learning Cuban Spanish. I mean, I did answer a question with that, but yeah, there's people have no interest in those videos. Most people, they just want generic stuff. If I go deep into, and this is why I get some comments sometimes. Why don't you make videos in like the languages you speak? And when I do, nobody watches them. Viewership. I've done videos recently in Romanian, in I think German, Russian, Italian, and views are much lower than just how to learn a language videos. Ok, Leandro. Entonces, en este caso, el input funciona más con idiomas que pertenezcan a la misma familia que idiomas que pertenecen a distintas familias, dependiendo del caso particular de la persona que quiere aprender un idioma. En el comienzo, el input puede ser una estrategia principal o una estrategia secundaria para adquirir el idioma. Mira, Leandro, el input funciona si ya entiendes mucho. Si no tienes vocabulario, no vas a entender nada. Entonces, depende mucho de si el idioma es, como acabas de decir, que pertenezca a la misma familia que los idiomas que ya hablas o no. Si es un idioma como el ruso o el chino o el árabe, que es completamente diferente, primero vas a tener que aprender muchísimo vocabulario, si no, no vas a entender nada. Si estás aprendiendo portugués o italiano, o incluso francés, puedes ponerte con el input y la gramática se parece mucho, el vocabulario en su mayoría se parece mucho y vas a entender gran parte de lo que estás leyendo y escuchando y vas a aprender lo que falta, lo vas a aprender simplemente en contexto. Entonces, el input funciona una vez tienes suficiente vocabulario. Y también, obviamente, tienes que hablar luego, si quieres llegar a hablarlo bien. Solo con input no vas a llegar a hablar bien. Para aprender a hablar bien hay que hablar. Uh, Alfonso Inglés. I'll give my final comment. I think combination of both potent used in space repetition system start and receive comprehensible input. More fun of memorizing many words. It certainly makes the material you're consuming more. Ooh, okay. Memorizing words doesn't guarantee that you'll recognize them in immersion. Yeah, but neither does seeing words in context. You need to see them many times. And if you memorize with associations, you're much more likely to remember them after associating them and visualizing them than if you simply see them in context over and over again. This is what a lot of these people, really anti memorization people, don't get. If you associate well, those mental images, they they stay there and you remember them. Sometimes you can do it for a language that you don't speak at all, um, and you will still remember the words. It's the same thing as associating numbers, lists of numbers, or numbers to words. Once you know how to use the technique, it works. But some people have this obsession against association and memorization, that because they think of memorization as like repeating lists and like over and over again. No, it's not that. Associations and visualization is completely different, and that's why it works. It works because you use your brain much more effectively. You use your creativity, you use mental images, you use all your senses. You can even use your taste and the rest of the sense, like sound, hearing. You can imagine all those, but you have to do it right. Sorry for the question, but I'm not sure if I understood correctly. So language islands is that I come up with a topic and prepare sentences with that topic. Yeah, exactly. You think of a conversation topic that you normally talk about, and you write down as many sentences as you can to talk about that topic. You translate them, and then you practice saying them over and over. And then you can talk about that topic pretty well. And you can do this you can do the same exact thing with any kind of interaction. If you're traveling, you can prepare sentences for the taxi, for the airport, for restaurants, the hotel, and so on, and also for conversation about yourself, about what you do, work, hobbies, all that. If you prepare those sentences, you'll do much better in conversation. Jose Benito, I don't want to sound unrespectful, disrespectful, but I don't really believe in memorizing vocabulary. Memory will play tricks on you if you try to do that, but I strongly recommend Keep on reading, always be, but read only things which appeal to you. The more you enjoy reading, the more vocabulary you will remember later. Keep on posting, and greetings from Spain. Um, should I answer in Spanish? No, okay, no. Question was in English, so no question, comment. Um, but have you actually tried this technique that I just showed? I make a video with like this comment is on a tutorial video on how to memorize vocabulary, how to make associations, and people are commenting, "Oh, I don't believe in memorization. Memorizing is like you will forget them." Have you tried the technique? Try the technique first, right? Of course, reading is good and listening is even better, but try the technique. How if you've never tried this specific thing before, how how do you know it doesn't work? Because you've always been told it doesn't work. Memorization doesn't work. No, rote memorization, just repeating lists and perro dog, perro dog, perro dog. If you do that, no, it doesn't work. Or it works, but not. And we used to do that in school. School was awful. They used to make us memorize lists like 10 new words in English, and you're like repeating them over and over. We used to do that. The only reason I learned well was because I got video games in English. I just play them over and over again. And then later on started listening to podcasts and stuff. But yeah, school was awful. But that's rote memorization. That's just repetition. That's really ineffective. But if you do good memorization, like effective memorization with associations, like the one I'm showing you in the video, but watch the video and apply the techniques, that will work. Wyvern the Terrible says Steve Kaufman is shilling his product, which is input based. Simple as that. Is it shilling if it's his own product? It's just self promotion, right? Shilling is if you're doing it for someone else. Yeah, okay. I've heard him be called Steve Verkaufmann before, which, if you speak German, you understand. Verkaufmann means salesman in German. Uh, should I comment? Yeah, what the hell. It also takes a lot of discipline to do lots of input. Yeah, it does. But input is it requires less discipline. If it's just once you get the habit, uh, once you build the habit of listening, it's not that hard. Just put it on and keep listening to it. But yeah, for some people, it's hard to do. So input's not the solution to everything. It's good. Input's good. You should be listening a lot, and if you read, that's great as well. But it's not a solution to everything. I'd say there's quite a difference between being fluent and getting C2. Yeah, there's a difference between fluent and C2. C2 is very hard, but it's doable. The difference between fluent and C2 is a C2 level has much more. You don't need. Okay, you need to be fluent to be C2, but you don't need to be C2 to be fluent. If you're C2, it means that you've read a lot in the language, you know a lot of advanced expressions, and you use a lot of advanced language, use fancy language, basically. I don't know if any of you have taken a C2 exam before. It is it's difficult, but it can be done. It's not impossible. You just prepare for it. A lot of reading, a lot of listening to like highbrow stuff, like intellectual stuff, books, and then you write a lot, and you eventually can pass. You prepare for it and you pass it. It's not that hard. Um, I tried to follow the advice of massive input when I was learning German. I read lots of short stories, but it didn't help anywhere as much as the YouTube polyglot said it would. Yeah, I mean, it does help if you do a lot of reading and listening to short stories over and over. It did help me with German grammar, but in the end, for German, again, lots and lots of input helps, but make sure you memorize enough vocabulary first. And especially for grammar, if you want to learn the grammar well, the die, does, and all the different variations, translate into German. Take a bilingual text and translate it into German, and that'll self-correct. That will help you correct your own mistakes. A lot of writing is good, but again, it depends on what your goals are, right? If you want to speak mostly, then use language islands. But if you want to read and write really well, then memorize lots of vocab, lots of input then, and translate. You probably need to read a million words a year in the target language to get the best benefits from comprehensible input in the long run. That's about 3,000 words a day. That's that is not untrue. That is also a lot of words. And this is one of the reasons why I'm a big believer in memorization of vocabulary, because after the first few thousand words, the most common ones, vocabulary gets more and more infrequent. So you need to do a lot more reading to learn the least frequent words. So the amount of reading you need to do keeps increasing. You can also read easier, yeah, faster, but more easily. But yeah, it's not practical. You can't really like a million words a year. A million words a year is well, like a dozen books, and even then, a million words a year, you need around 3 million words in total of reading to learn around 10,000 words. 3 or 4 million words. So it's 3 years reading a lot every single day in the language. Reading helps, but the 10,000 most common words, you can memorize them in less than 3 months with associations, and then you review them simply by listening to the language. Steve himself has said people underestimate how much reading you have to do. Yeah, you have to do a lot of reading. Let me tell you, I've read more books in French than most people have read books. Period. And my speaking still wasn't good until I started specifically working on my speaking. So yeah, my vocabulary in French is great. Uh, my comprehension's excellent, and my speaking is better now. But because I worked on my speaking specifically, but my speaking wasn't getting much better from reading book after book after. I was reading like 2 or 3 books. Uh, I was listening to one audiobook a week in French, and reading like 2 or 3 books a month in French. So I don't know how many books I've read in total, but I've read a lot of books in French, and still my speaking wasn't good until I started doing lots of like using language islands, which I thought I wouldn't need first because well I've done so much input I don't need to. I understand everything, yeah, but speaking is different. To get good at speaking, you need to practice speaking. So language islands and listen and repeating drills, a lot of it. Uh, okay. Do you recommend reading and watching beginner content, or should I just watch native level content? I'm trying to achieve Cuban accent in Spanish. Oh, I just made a video answering. Yeah, listen to podcasts with a Cuban like with by native Cubans or similar. I mean, they're not exactly the same, but like I don't know, Puerto Rico, something like that, kind of similar. And yeah, I mean, go watch the other video. But basically, do as much listening as possible. And then this guy answering him with like endless. Yeah, use children's stuff. Don't use children's content unless you really like children. Don't use content that you wouldn't read in your or you wouldn't watch in your native language. Um, truly believe you have one of the best or the best language learner. Thanks. um, yeah, yeah. If you this is something that I really needed help with. I have a lot of passive vocabulary, but not as much active. And many say to use spaced repetition flashcards with a really hate. Yeah, if you understand a lot, but you're speaking, but then you struggle to speak, you need to work on that. And no amount of input will help you with that. What you need to do is speak a lot on your own. Just practice speaking. Listen and repeat sentences. Prepare your own sentences. Just read aloud. Answer questions. Translate into the language. Do things like that. But speak on your own. Um, Memorizing vocabulary is important, but my problem is that I can't understand the text even though I know all the words, but I can't just make sense of it. What? How can you know all the words and not understand? Sometimes the translation doesn't make sense. I don't get this. Uh, if you know all the words, you should. I mean, if you know all the words, you shouldn't. You should understand the text. Just translate the whole sentence. Maybe normally you don't need to know grammar to understand a sentence. Some people struggle without grammar, maybe without knowing grammar, but for the most part, um, maybe if you don't know grammar, you just struggle to because the language has a different structure, different word order or something from yours. But what I recommend is just copying the sentences and pasting them on Google Translate, and you will slowly start making sense of how the grammar works. Also, you can just use the Translator plugin to translate each sentence on the same site, so you can read them. But yeah, just use translations until you understand the sentences. All right, I think this is it for today. That was a lot. I've got some things to do now. Thanks for watching.